So today I'm going to give you a little tutorial, PHP tutorial on user registration and on a website or something. I haven't done a tutorial in about 3 years, so this is really exciting. I think I'm going to get started up again, so buckle your seatbelts. So let's start with connecting to the database. I made a file here called connection.php in my localhost. So as you can see, it is very basic. It's very short, only 10 lines. Not even actually, because I've got a few spaces here. First off, okay, so opening PHP tags, then set your server, and these are all variables to kind of, I guess it's for security reasons that we put them into variables first instead of directly into the MySQL connect function. But first off, server, because I'm on localhost, it's this sort of IP looking thing. User. When you download MySQL onto your computer, they ask for a username and a password. So mine, I just did root and password root. Okay. And then DB, which is the database that I'm choosing to work with, is testing database here. So I just made that name. You can adjust it to what you want. So then we set up the connection. So we set a variable connection equals MySQL connect, server, user, password. Very simple, right? And that's just what we set earlier. Or die, and that just means, you know, if there's some sort of error, let me know, and then select the database that we're working with, which of course is testing database with the connection that we just set up. So now that that's set and we save that, we're going to go over to a new file I made called register.php, and that's what we're going to be working with today. With register.php, we want to first connect to the database by simply including the file that we just made there. So then let's close that and begin with our very basic HTML form for which the users are the people using our website are going to fill out in order to create a user account. Form method. So we want to create an input that is hidden so that way when somebody clicks the button to register, we know that they did that because this input always has the name form, say, and the value sent, so it will always be set whenever they click the button. It's very, universal. It's good. Next, we're going to create username. The fields they have to fill out, right? So username, the field will be an input, a text input. We'll name this text input username, so when we have to grab it later, that's what we're going to refer to it as. And then password, why not? Of course, that's important. Password. That way, if somebody's looking at their computer screen, what am I doing? If someone's looking at their computer screen, they can't see what password they've chosen. Confirm password, just, to make sure they typed it right. Again, password type, but the name, we're going to refer to it as conf_pass. Very simple. Then email, just to add another field here, and we're not going to actually be able to, we're not going to be able to make sure it's valid because that would require more time that I don't have in this tutorial. And then a submit button called register with an exclamation point because we are so excited for them to be registering. So there we created our HTML form, but if we go to the page, if I click the button, nothing happens basically. So within our PHP tags, we're going to create an if statement in order to recognize if the form's been sent. And because it's being sent to the same page, we can make this if statement on this same page. So if our hidden input, which is called form, so if post form equals true, then we want to check to make sure all the fields are filled out because we want all these to be required. Say empty, because empty covers a lot of things. So let's say empty. That's a little useful. Empty post password, or if conf_pass is empty because we want both of them to be set, or if empty email, if any of those are empty at all, then we're gonna give them a little nasty message saying, hey, fill out all the fields. No, that could be whatever you want it to be, but that's kind of fun. I mean, we could do whatever because no one's going to see this except for you guys. So if that is, if any of those aren't filled out, then we're going to give them that message. And let's create a break before the form. But say they filled out all the forms and they're good people. Then else if, of course, if their password and their confirmation passwords don't match, then that's another problem. So now, if they pass the first test, then let's see if they pass this test. If password doesn't equal conf_pass, then we're going to send them another message Your passwords, oops, passwords do not match. However, if everything else works out, then, and they pass both tests, then you can say, all right, congrats, that worked. And then we will insert into the database their new information. So let's go to database. So I have a PHP MyAdmin, and I'm going to create a new table called users, and I think 5 fields. I hope. So the first field, ID. Whenever you're creating a table, it's really important that you have an ID for that, so you can have a unique ID for each user. And AI, that's auto increment, of course. I don't know why I forgot that. Index primary. Auto increment just means it'll go to the next available number. Username, very important, and varchar, which I call varchar. I don't know, it's very characters or something. Looks like varchar to me. So okay, password. That again is varchar. Normally we would encrypt that, but under these circumstances, I want you guys to actually see that it worked, so that would be great. And then email. So I guess we only needed 4 fields, but that's okay. It'll if the last one's blank, it just won't include it. So then I save that, and now we have our table here, and you can see what it looks like. Table called users. So we're gonna go back, and then when they pass both tests, it's gonna insert into users, which is the table, the following values, and insert a new row into our table of this new user that's just registering. So the first value, of course, they correspond with if you're going from top to bottom. ID, we're going to leave that null, because if it is null, then it'll just fill it out for us. Like if the next, if I submit one now to be 1, because there's no other ones in the database or in the table. Username, post username, post password, because that was our next one. I'm just kind of going by memory now, which I'm sure you know would be able to do. Okay, and that gets entered. So if we save that and we go to our register page, oh man, okay, go back to line 5. Apparently I made a mistake because I do that so often, it just gets out of hand. Oh, forgot a parentheses. I will actually post this whole code and stuff for you to copy and paste or play around with on sierrapedia.com. That's my blog where I post all my tutorials and also other random stuff. Wait, okay, alright, now it worked, and line 4 is being mean to me. You know, I'm sorry. This actually, when I was giving that whole long speech about this, it should probably be is set, because that might be better. Let's test that out. Alright, the thing is set, and it's going to check if this is set. If I say equals equals true, then it gets a little mad at me, because if it's not even been mentioned before post form, then yeah, just take my word for it, it's is set. Okay. So now we have this form here, and it's looking kind of cool. So let's do one of the tests. Say we only enter a couple of the fields and not all are filled out. That thinks it wants me to remember. Oh, hey, fill out all the fields. So that one worked. So let's try the whole password confirmation thing. So fill out all the fields, but the passwords don't match. And oh, your passwords do not match. So that worked too. So our second test worked. So now let's do it all right and see if it enters all our info into the database. So let's say our username is testing. Our password is password. Enter those the same. Our email is email.com. Wonderful. I love that email. Oh, look, it worked. It says it worked. Did it work? Let's check our table. And oh, yes, it did work. So here, ID 1, because remember, it'll go to whatever's up next. Testing password email. Okay, great. So now you guys know how to do a registration form that actually enters into a database. Now, if you want to do the whole login process, I'm going to create a separate tutorial right away so that you guys can then click on that tutorial and learn how to log in with these same provisions. And I'm going to go back to the code, just zoom out a little bit so you see what you're dealing with. And I will put this code on my blog and everything will be cool. All right. Thank you for listening.